This module is on irrigation, and we've talked about a lot of the irrigation systems, everything from automatic systems to quick couplers and things like that. So water management is extremely important. And in the background you can see one of the sprinkler heads that's turning, and it's automatically controlled. Some of these irrigation systems can be extremely expensive. Matter of fact, the one that they installed about 8 months to a year ago in 2015 at the Ohio State University golf course cost between $4 and $6 million. So it is an expensive but extremely important part of golf course management. But however, even during with the most sophisticated systems and things like that, once we get into a summertime, we often see golf courses, especially on putting greens, hand watering. In other words, they'll just go across the greens, they'll never turn on the irrigation system, they'll only hand water those greens. And the reason is a couple things. The number one issue in most golf courses is that they overwater. They put too much water down. And that causes soft conditions, adds to disease, can add to compaction, and just not overall good health to the grass. And so that idea of becoming more firm, just applying enough water to provide these desirable putting surfaces requires hand watering. And in the past, that's been a real art form. How much water do you put down as you go out and you tell somebody to go out and put down a little bit of water on the greens just to keep them alive and keep the firmness you want? And it's a very subjective thing. Well, recently, and you'll see more of this when we move through some of the modules, is a device called a soil moisture meter. And it'll actually tell you how much water or the volume of water in the soil. And when you think about it, you think about all the factors that go into how much water is going down and how much the plant's using. And you just look around here, as you can see, probably from my shirt, it's extremely warm out here. Temperature plays an effect, wind plays an effect, or lack of wind plays an effect, how much water the plant's taking up or how much we need to put down. Also solar radiation, things like that, the soil type, even the grass type. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. So when you get into a rather subjective idea of applying water, it really becomes an art form. But again, with these soil moisture meters that have come and have become extremely popular in the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, you can actually go out and measure on these greens the various slopes and decide definitely how much water you can put down in these areas. So for example, a person would come out, stick this into the green, and it would give you a read. And if you remember from the topics on soils, 25% of the pore spaces generally are water filled. Okay, so what we're usually looking at as a general rule for most of the golf courses I know around this area, they're looking at about 15% water content. That's where they want to be, so they'll water to raise it up, or they won't water until it gets down to that level. Interestingly too, what measures the water content are these two prongs, and they measure actually in between these prongs, so the thing has to go all the way down. Now these are fairly long, but as we move into summertime, as temperatures increases, root systems get shorter, so many of these guys might use only a half of these lengths to do that. So what I want to show you, and as well as these irrigate, before I get too wet out here, and as these heads have been popping up automatically, I'm going to show you briefly how you apply light rates of water after you determine from a device like that that you need to apply water. I'm here at a place that, or an object we've already talked about in a previous presentation. We have a quick coupler valve down here where we can put this key, turn it, put water down through the hose, and then I'm going to have Matt Williams explain the different ideas of nozzle pressure, things like that, and our intern Bree Schneider, who's going to actually do it for us. Now, the reason I'm not doing it is because hand watering is labor intensive. and not exactly an easy job to do if you're doing it every day and checking moisture and stuff like that.
Okay, Bree, so we're going to use this hose, and we want to target this section of the research area right here. We're going to take the nozzle, and we just want to apply a light amount of water. After our measurements, we think that this needs just a little bit of water. We don't want to be too aggressive with it as we turn this hose on. You see, we can put out a lot of pressure and force, and we don't want it to be spraying all over the place. So how I want you to do is about right there where you can cover a large area in a quick amount of time, and then just quickly we're just going to wet the surface. We're not going to be focused on trying to get moisture down into the soil, just getting the surface wet and wetting the leaves of the plant. And then you crank her back and turn her off. You got it?
Got it.
Okay, there you go.
Does it matter which way you turn this?
Turn it counterclockwise. Yeah, a little bit more than you had.